Welcome to another episode of Gracias Come Again. Today we have a star, an icon, a legend, the incomparable Brenda K. Starr is here. Hi.
Yes. Hi, my love. How are you?
Welcome.
Gracias.
You look absolutely gorgeous. Can we
Thank
talk about this? Yes.
Well, darling, I think for me, I just, I guess the older I get, the more that I start to really zone into like different looks, and I have a great team that help me stay on top of style, and I'm trying to find things that work for not only my age but to try to stay elegant and classy. So I'm always into fashion, so being able to try and stay on top of looking good and feeling good, and also has a lot to do with working out and trying to stay in contact with my inner soul, because for me, I used to always just like not really just throw anything on, but I think, like I said, getting more into fashion and wanting to feel good about myself. So I love to dabble in a lot of different things, like from like I used to say back in the day would be like hood rat, wearing my sneakers and my sweats, but
Urban,
sometimes very urban, exactly,
hip-hoppy,
urban
kinda,
hip hop, but also elegant and classy. So,
Now
yeah.
you're giving us classy with a touch of tropicoqueta.
Y-
Big shout out Carol G. I love that term. It's just so
What is it,
so
tropiqueta?
tropicoqueta. Like coqueta y tropical a la
Tropical.
misma vez. Both of them together.
Together. That's a great way to put it. I never thought of
I
it.
like it. Super
I'm gonna
cute.
use that.
Claro que sí.
I'm gonna use that.
And you've been active career-wise since 1985, it
Yes.
said? Oh, wow. And
Yes.
look at you, still here with us, shining, looking good, working.
Thank you.
That's decades and decades and decades. How do you feel today to have had a career that has spanned such a long time?
I mean, for me, I have to be honest with you. There are so many times that I have dabbled in different things, from radio to working into donating my time to hospitals. I worked with kids with cancer. I used to do music theory for people at senior centers that had dementia, and I always volunteered my time because I knew that music was really my first love. But then again, I always thought about giving back, and I knew that in this career, it's not always promised tomorrow. Hence why I try to learn new things to be able to evolve and give my music in different ways. Like I said, giving music to people with dementia,
That's
the
beautiful. I love that.
elderly, working at hospitals with cancer patients. I dealt with the Giggles Theater in Patterson Hospital. I taught music.
You're so
and
dope. I love this. I
I-
love that,
Thank
you
you.
haven't just been a star this whole time, but
No.
you've done, charitable work.
Yes.
You functioned
It was
in
work.
different,
It
because
was work.
it is.
I mean, it
to
was a
work.
paycheck. It was because, like you said, I've done it for so many years, and in the interim of being in different record labels, you're as good as your last hit. So you always have to remember to find a way to evolve and recreate and give back. And when I decided that English at one point wasn't working for me, I was able to, and fortunate enough to have a education with theory and music, and that's how I learned about working with people who had dementia, and working with the left side of the brain, and helping out, and working with kids that had cancer from Patterson Hospital. It was the Giggles Theater. I used to teach voice, and I just wanted to do
That is
stuff
beautiful.
that would be able to give back. So it was a job, and some was charitable, and some was a paid gig. So I
You
just
used your voice
used it
in a
in
lot of different
several
ways.
different ways.
Now, when did you find your singing voice? Like, at what moment were you like, pero espérate, yo puedo cantar. What's going on here?
I think I was about 13 years old. It was told to my mom. It was
Okay.
my birthday. And about 2 weeks to a month prior to my birthday, my mom asked me, what do you want to do for your birthday? Do you want to have a birthday party? Do you want to have a sleepover? Do you just want to invite a couple of girls over and maybe we'll do movies and dinner? And I said, no. I said, I don't want to party. I want to go to the recording studio and I want to make a record. And my mother was like, a record? I was like, yeah. I said, I want to be like that girl, Stacey Lattisaw. And she had a song called Love on the Two-Way Street.
Oh, I remember that
But
song.
I used to love, and it was a remake, so I used to love listening to like Roberta Flack and several different artists, Diana Ross. I used to love the elegance of Cher, and I always wanted to be a musician because my dad was a musician.
Yeah, I was just going to say, your dad
And-
was the musician. Right?
Yeah, he was in the Spiral Staircase. He was the founder of the group Spiral Staircase, which there was a song that was very popular called I Love You More Today Than Yesterday, which was about my mom. So my mom set up the recording studio session with my older brother, and my mother did everything from running numbers to working in the hospital.
Puertorriqueña.
Yeah, my mother's Puerto Rican, and she said, we're going to get you in the recording studio, and she took me to a place called Dimensional Sound Studios. There is where the engineer had told me to get into the booth. I went into the booth, and I re-recorded Love on a Two-Way Street because, like I said...
Was Dad there to watch you do this?
My dad was not there. My mom and my father broke up when me and my brother were very young. My dad was in the industry, but unfortunately my mother didn't like the traveling thing, and she had already had 5 kids, and she just said, it's too much for traveling, and they broke up, but he always stayed in contact and came back and forth and through the interim of touring, hence why I get it now as an adult. But he wasn't there, but...
Did he get to hear it, the recording?
Yes, he did.
And what did he say?
13, he was just like, wow, she's got a beautiful voice. And my mother was like, this is all she wants to do. I used to do it all over the house.
Is it because your dad was a musician, or what was it?
No, I just,
That's
when I
young.
was a little girl, I got electrocuted. I had bit a chufle, like a cord from the wall, because I tried to pull it out because I couldn't get the TV off. My brother was babysitting me.
Okay.
And I had went into cardiac arrest.
Oh, wow.
And I was brought back, and I remember that a majority of my mouth, half of it was closed shut because I had plastic surgery. And in order for me not to move it so it wouldn't rip, they had given me plastic surgery. And I was about 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old.
That's traumatic.
And I always remember as a kid, I would hum around the house tunes, hear music, and my mother used to be like, all she used to see was me humming and wanting to sing. And after my stitches were removed and it was healed, I would always listen to the radio and try to duplicate a sound of different artists, from Diana Ross, like I said, to Roberta Flack, to Aretha Franklin, to I love Diana Ross just because of the elegance and Cher.
Were these your mom's artists that she liked, or you just found them on your own?
No, I found them on my own, but my mom used to listen a lot to like Frank Sinatra, Aretha Franklin.
The OGs.
Celia Cruz, La Lupe. She would listen to the Fania All-Stars music.
Claro que sí.
You
Hector
know?
Lavoe.
Yeah, Hector Lavoe. And she just had music playing in the house all the time. Teddy Pendergrass. So it was a melting pot of music, and the sounds were very eclectic in our home. We didn't have just one particular sound we listened to. And I remember always being in my house and looking in the mirror with a cepillo, with a brush, like it was my microphone.
Oh, you were born for this.
I just always wanted to do it. And I remember taking Natalie Cole's song, Everlasting Love, for my 8th birthday and standing on the table in the living room, and I started singing. And unfortunately, I guess starting to get into it, I fell off the table and got a concussion at my birthday party. So I was rushed to
Qué
the
vergüenza.
hospital.
All your friends and shit, you're like,
They were like, the
almost
party's
died.
over. And I was like, oh, man.
Y tu mamá, pero casi se murió la muchacha, váyanse para su casa.
Yes.
It's over, it's
Yeah.
over, it's over.
Yeah, ya terminó la fiesta. So my mom took me to the hospital. I had a concussion. They sang happy birthday, obviously without me. They had cake. But my mother was like, there is when I really knew you started liking music. And I would always tell her, oh, I wanna be on TV. I want to do movies. I want to be on Broadway.
And she supported it?
No, my mother always supported it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
My
I
mother
love that.
always supported it. She used to put me in summer programs because, we really didn't have a lot, but we used to go to
Where were you living?
We were living on 90th in Amsterdam and Columbus. We lived on 91st Street, then we moved. We lived on 89th, 90, then 91st. And my mother always, she did whatever she had to do. My mom's been on her own since she's 15 years old. She was taken by her dad, and her real mother she didn't meet till she was 33, and she was raised by her Puerto Rican father in Puerto Rico. She left when she was 14, 15. She ran away with her older sister. So fast forward, we lived at the Wise Tower Projects. And my mother always got help. We had applied housing, but my mother was really a trailblazer. She always was a very big advocate of helping families get, assistance. And
the community.
She worked with the community. She was a very, very big advocate for the community, the housing authority. And she started working at the hospital. But before working to the hospital, she used to, take the bolitas, running the numbers, and do whatever she had to do. Whatever she had to do, as long as it was something safe where we were okay. she never, stole or did anything to give us the best life that she could give us, but we were always able to have a good life. So what I was getting at is she put me in this program called God of Riverside.
God of Riverside?
God of Riverside. God of Riverside was an after-school program, and they had free singing lessons, dancing lessons, gymnastics, and we would go there after school when our parents had to work. So we would hang out, and Angela Bofield was actually one of the vocal coaches, and she was my vocal coach. And I started loving music when I started getting into that. And then at like 13 years old, I wanted to do the demo. And my older brother started paying for me to go to singing lessons.
Oh, but this was like a family affair. I love how everybody backed you. You know, dad probably passed down some of the talent. Mom supported it. Your brother came through.
Yeah, my brother came
This is
through,
dope.
and he was going to Albany University, and he helped with the vocal lessons. And my dad really
They believed in you.
financially. Oh, he always believed. My brother was my biggest fan. Sorry, my brother was actually my biggest fan, and he paid for my vocal lessons, my stage clothes.
Thank
He
you,
used to
brother.
always. He's not with us anymore, but he was
R.I.P..
actually like a father to me,
God bless.
because my dad traveled so much, he wasn't able to be in my life the way I wanted him to.
And
But
he stepped up to the plate.
oh my goodness, did he step up? Down
probably
to
loved
buying
you.
my stage clothing,
He
down
probably
to
loved
being
you
in the
like you were
front.
his little girl. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, he was my life. He was my life. I think when I lost him, I felt like a huge part of my heart was gone. But I always feel his presence with me. His name was Freddie. He used to fly birds. I remember he used to take me on his shoulders, take me to the roof of a building to go fly the birds. And I used to watch the birds. And I was like, it's so high up here. It says, it's crazy how you get to see these birds follow each other. And he says, that's how your dream has to be. You have to follow your dream,
That's beautiful.
because you could fly and soar high just like these birds. And he was just always inspirational. But my dad did love that I sang. I think the first time my dad really realized I had something special is when he saw me sing at the Carnegie Hall. I was paying tribute to Celia Cruz.
I'm like, well, hold on. How did you end up at Carnegie Hall?
I end up I
As a child, you're singing at Carnegie Hall?
was actually in Carnegie Hall when my first Latin album came out.
Oh, okay.
And it was when Te Sigo Esperando came out. My dad, like I said, was always in and out of my life. And because he traveled so much, we weren't able to have the connection that I really wanted. But as I got into music, he started to connect more with me, I guess because we had something in common.
Oh, no, for sure.
But
It's a bond.
right. But my brother and my mom were really the big inspiration in pushing me to help me want to do this. Like I said, I went to a nonprofit organization after school program so my mom could work, and my brother was in college. And, I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. So my brothers or sisters would pick me up from the after school program.
You were the baby?
I was the baby.
Of course you were. I'm getting the feeling that you were the baby.
I was always so spoiled. They used to call me Bina Farina because I used to love Farina.
I love Farina too.
Oh, and I love it. I love it. So my brother used to call me Bina Farina.
You were really the baby.
Yeah, I really
They had
was.
jingles for you. You really were the baby.
Everything. We used to have talent shows, but I end up starting to become somewhat successful with the English music, and my father started getting into watching me on TV and telling me how proud he was. But I never saw my real dad, or my dad at all in particular, because he was my only father. I never had a stepdad. So
Mom stood single forever?
My mother stayed single. My mom stayed
She's like, yo
single.
no quiero más problema.
Right. No, I have 7 brothers and sisters,
Enough
but
is
the
enough, she
last 3
said.
are from the same dad. But
She said, I have my kids.
yeah, she just didn't want to bring anybody else into our life, and my mother was the type of single mother that was a very strong Latina woman, that she never wanted to depend on a man, and her kids came first. Hence why her and my dad didn't work out, because she didn't want to take my other siblings with her to California and live, because she was already set. She had her housing. She was doing stuff for the community. She was making ends meet. She was working. She was a hustler. Hence why I was always the type of woman that was able to say that it really doesn't take a man to make a real woman. You have to really be positive. And my mother was just a really huge example. She was the matriarch of our family, and she still is.
That rock.
And she really was and still is. And she's 80. She's going to be 87 years old.
God bless
But
her.
yeah, she's amazing. But when my dad saw me perform on TV, he's like, wow, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
But if I take it back to when you asked me about how did I know this is what I wanted to do, at like 8, 9 years old, I was already asking my mother to put me on TV commercials. And my brother was a Golden Gloves boxer winner. He was on the USA boxing team.
Oh, wow.
And he had a friend who happened to be related to John G. Avildsen from the movie Rocky. He was the director. So they were looking for a girl to be in the movie. And a movie that they were filming was called Slow Dancing in the Big City. And John G. Avildsen was the director. So I had a little taste of getting into acting, and I played a tomboy, a girl named Punk. And I was in that movie, and I started getting the bug about it, wanting to be into acting. I knew I loved singing, but I was like, okay, now acting. So I got in that movie, and then he introduced me to an agent. I went to the agent's office. His name was Michael Amato. I didn't have headshots at the time, but I came in and met him, and he loved my spunk. And I actually got asked to be in his agency. He started sending me out for stuff. I got a Shake La Yoga commercial. I started taking buses at like 12 years old to auditions. I auditioned for Annie, but I was too tall. And I got called back.
She was tiny.
I would have been the first Puerto Rican Annie. I was like, mañana, mañana, te quiero, mañana. My mother was like, what do you mean you went to audition for Annie? I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an Annie. So I was like, but we didn't have a phone in my house. So where I lived in the projects, there was a neighborhood payphone.
Okay.
So I gave the agent the phone number. And the phone number was to the plaza.
You were something else.
Because my mom was always struggling to try to make ends meet, so the phone would get cut off or
That
this
was
and
a lot
that.
of our moms,
So I
yeah.
turned around and I said, you know what? I'm going to give the number to the payphone. So I lived on the 3rd floor. So
You
anytime,
kind of still look down, right?
Exactly. Every time the phone would ring, it'd be like, Brenda, the phone. Brenda.
That was your phone.
It wasn't it was a payphone, but I made it my phone.
Exactly.
I made it my phone. So there is when I started getting callbacks, and then finally I started getting invested in like breakdancing, and I used to be in a crew called the Dynamic Dolls. And there
Like
was
B-girls?
Yeah, I was a B-girl. What, girl? I just didn't spin on my head or on my back. I tried. I remember one time I tried to do a dive, and I cut my chin. I was like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to stick to pop locking because
I'm going to
this
stay on
ain't
my
working.
feet. I'm going
I'm going to stay on my feet. We ain't trying to go down to the floor.
No.
So we got asked to do the Kennedy Center honors and honor Gene Kelly. And I met Carol Burnett, and I was like, everybody was caring about just breakdance. I was like, oh, do you know I want to be an actress just like you?
You told her that?
Oh, yeah. And she like,
I know what type of kid you were. I know exactly what type of kid you were.
You know what it was?
Presenta.
I was presentada, but I was entremetida to the point that I
All
was
of that.
getting in no matter what.
It's like, what child goes up to Carol Burnett like, I want to be an actress just like you, lady.
Yeah, I got pictures with Carol Burnett, Gene Kelly. Like, I always wanted to make some kind of impact that I was there. So I always wanted to be in the front. Like, even with the program that my mom put me in with the acting and dancing, one of the girls forgot her part. I started tap dancing. The lady was like, oh my God, she tap danced so good. Where did she take dance lessons? My mother goes, I don't know.
You just improvised some tap dancing?
I improvised.
Oh,
that
you
shit
was
like
going to
there
make
was
it
no
at
tomorrow.
all costs, okay?
I sure did. We did New York. I was like, da, da, da. I was like, New York.
No, the little girl was like, can you get her out of here, please, right now?
She got nervous. So
Of
she
course, I would've
didn't
too.
want to do her solo. So I was like, okay, girl, I got this. So I went in the front.
Brenda said, this is my solo now.
I sure did. I sure did make it my solo. So I got the solo, and I just started going in the front, and my mother was like, she really loves this. So I got into the breakdancing thing. We went to do the Kennedy Center honors.
Nice.
After we did that, I met Gene Kelly, Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett gave me one advice that,
Gene Kelly.
Yes, Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly. I got a picture with him. I hugged him. He's like, I love your spunk. And then Carol Burnett was like, isn't she the cutest? And I remember her like pinching my cheek. Yeah. And I went like this to her because I remember that because I used to watch it when I was a kid.
So you knew the
The
vibes.
Honeymooners and the Carol Burnett show was my thing. So I told her one day I want to be just like you. I want to be on TV. So I just kept pursuing the acting, the singing, and how I really got my big break in the music is when I was dancing for the Beat Street audition with the Dynamic Dolls. and they were covering Rocksteady Crew. They were covering Dynamic Breakers, Dynamic Dolls, and I was a Dynamic Doll. And I really just became part of it because I met a girl named Susie Q, and I just loved her swag. And I was like, I always wanted to be with the cool people because I always felt like an outcast because as a young girl, I used to get made fun of a lot. I used to be made fun of my mouth. They used to call me, crip lip. They used to like make fun of my mouth.
Kids are just cruel.
Yeah,
That's
just
it.
super cruel, but I still said, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I can to be special because my mother and my brother used to always tell me, your mouth is like that because that's what God wanted. You're special and you're here and you embrace it. And I used to always be like, when we do plastic surgery, can they make me a lion? And my mother was like, no, that's you. That's who you are. Remember this when I tell you. When
That's
you get
beautiful.
older,
I love this.
you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to love that. And that's what's going to be so special about you. And it was crazy because as I got older, it didn't affect me as much as it did in junior high school, middle school. In high school, I just started because I was singing. I was like, you know what?
You were already a vibe, right?
Yeah. People were like, yo, you could sing. Like I used to get solos and then the boys used to start liking me and I was like, oh wait, I'm not as ugly as I really thought I was.
You was a whole baddie thinking you was ugly.
Oh yeah, I did. I never felt pretty. I always felt like I was made fun of. And even if I liked a boy, I didn't want to like him because I felt like he'd like somebody else who had prettier lips or longer hair or better outfits. And like I knew my mother struggled, but my mother did try to give me the best of everything. So
Thanks,
I
Mommy.
remember when the ripped jeans came out, people were buying them in the store, and I created my own vibe.
Claro que
I
sí.
created my own vibe. The Lee jeans, my mother would work double shifts to make sure I had the right outfits.
Typical Latina mom. She's just like, yo,
Yeah,
I'm gonna make
she-
sure my baby girl look good.
Always. So we had the audition for Beat Street, and I took Africa Bambaata's Soul Sonic Force song, doom, 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 Planet Rock. I was like, yo, I'm gonna write a song for this. And my friends were like, for what? And I was like, because we're gonna go to the audition tomorrow. You're gonna dance, but I'm gonna sing. And they were like, no, but it's not for singing, it's for dancing.
We breaking.
It's for breakdancing. I was like, all right, so I'll like pop lock and then I'll just throw a tune in there.
She
And they
said, I'm
were-
gonna sing too. I don't know what to tell y'all bitches.
Yeah, I was like, I got this. So we ended up having the audition. It was the big breakdance audition. And I said, they were telling, oh, Harry Belafonte's going to be here. This was going to be there. Never knowing that the man that would be running the soundtrack for the movie would be a man by the name of Arthur Baker. Arthur Baker was the producer of the whole soundtrack. And David Pickett was the one who was dealing with the music part of it. So I went to the audition and we breakdanced. So we had our audition and it was full of so many crews from Boston, New York,
todos lados.
everywhere. Todos lados. I'm talking about New York, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, all 5 boroughs. But they also had people coming in from LA.
Oh, they
And
flew in.
Everybody came in. It was on the news, but I guess because how successful Harry Belafonte was.
Of course, yeah. It
It
spread.
it was all over. And that was when social media was not even in effect.
Oh no, social media came into effect the other day, so I can imagine.
Exactly. Hence why I'm not the best at it. But with that being said, I saw him walk in after the audition. The news was going to interview him and talk about.
And you knew who he was.
I knew exactly who he was because my mother always had a crush on him.
Okay, so you
He's
saw him
like,
from you on
"Daylight
TV.
come and me want to go home. Dede. I was like, oh, that's the man. And my mother always had a crush on him. So when I told my mother the movie, she goes, that's Harry Belafonte. It's like, he had a beautiful daughter. She's a model. So she was telling me, she was giving me all the history. And she's like, you got to look good. I was like, Ma, I want to sing in it. She goes, no, you're going to dance, Mama. I go, no. I'm going to sing. Watch. I'm going to sing in his movie soundtrack. So the night before I was in my room and I was writing a song, and it was a song called The Vicious Beat. And I made up a song. I was like, hey, you, yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm here to tell you the scoop, the dynamic beat. So I kept going on, and I was writing. So when he came in, I ran up to him. I said, Mr. Belafonte. I was like, my name is Brenda Starr. I was like, I was here. I was breakdancing.
How old were you?
I was 15.
Because I feel like an adult wouldn't be able to do that right now. They'd be
No.
so shy.
I just knew the struggles of my mom, and I always wanted to be able to buy my mom a house. and we lived in our projects and we were sharing beds, and my mom did bust her hump. We ate great meals every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We were very well taken care of. She did dress us good, but I knew how hard it was for my mother, and I knew what it was to go to the store with the pack of cupones and pay, and sometimes I was embarrassed. I didn't want to do it, but I knew that as much as it hurt my mother, she still did whatever she had to do to make sure we didn't need, and she still had out and in jobs. So I said, one day I'm going to buy us a house. And my mother was like, I would love that. I would love to have my own house and not live in a building, because I guess she felt like all of us in one building. Like they took 2 apartments and put them together for us, because there were 7 of us.
Oh, wow.
There were 7 of us. And my brother was in college. My other brother was a boxer. He was on the USA boxing team, actually. The plane that crashed, he went out the night before to Studio 54 with a bunch of his friends, and he missed the flight.
Look at
And everybody died on the plane. So it leaves me with hairs, because
right? Look at me,
my mother was the type of mother that she lives for every single one of her kids. None of us were treated better than others. She gave us all love when we all needed it. She spread herself wide so that we all knew that we were important to her. So going back to Tommy Belafonte.
You had to run down on him.
I had to do whatever it took to know that I could do something for my mom. And I met Harry Belafonte, and he's like, well, I'm going to go into an interview, but if you hang out, he goes, I'd love to hear you sing. I was like, okay. So he went up to do the interview, and then all of a sudden security's like, all right, everybody get out. It's time to get out. We're closing doors. Everybody audition. If you're not part of the cleaning crew, you can't stay. I was like, what? If you're not part of the cleaning crew,
and you're
cannot stay.
waiting
I was like,
to
okay.
audition
I was
and
like,
shit.
hey, give me the bag. I got the garbage over here. And I was a kid. I was 15. And I was helping. They go, are you supposed to be? I said, yeah, I'm helping out. I'm cleaning. They asked who volunteered. I volunteered. So, okay. So I'm cleaning. So all of a sudden he comes down, and there's a man that's with him, and it was a guy named David Pickett. And I just started singing a cappella, Love on the 2A Street, the song I did the demo of. And it was a reel-to-reel at the time. It wasn't any of those like little discs or any kind of like
Cassette
gadgets
tapes?
nothing like that. It wasn't a cassette tape. It was a reel-to-reel that I had did. So I was like, well, they can't hear it like that, and I can't carry it with me, and I don't have headshots. I was like, I'm just going to sing. So I saw them come down and started singing a cappella, and they were like, who's that? And he was like, I don't know. I was like singing and singing. All of a sudden, I just held the note, and I was vibrato. And he was like, who? I was like, that's me, Mr. Belafonte. I'm the girl that wanted to sing for you. I was like, please, can I sing in your movie? I says, I promise you won't be sorry. You won't be sorry.
Talk about going for it.
And David was like, she's got a really good voice. He goes, get her number and hook her up with Arthur Baker. So I got an audition for Arthur Baker, and I went to his studio, and I end up writing for the movie, and I end up writing a song for Lisa Fisher called Shadows of the Night. And I was writing for the movie soundtrack. And I got on the soundtrack, and I was able to be part of the movie. And instead of breakdancing in the movie, I was able to have the audition part. So my crew got in the movie, but I got in the movie.
Period.
Like I had my own part. Like I was auditioning, and that's where I think this whole revelation of female rappers and singers came out, and Latifah came out, Queen Latifah. But I think I was Wanda D. I think I was one of the first ones, a Latina rapping, singing female that brought it to light. And everybody to this day always asks me, what happened to Vicious Beat? Why you never put that song out? But it was on the soundtrack. But till date, I'm working on trying to put it on my new English album, just because it's over 3 decades and people still want that song. So Arthur Baker was going to include it on one of his compilation albums, but it didn't work out because through the interim of it all, when you're young, you know how people want your publishing. And I love Arthur Baker to pieces, and he's a great guy, but I wrote that song and I wasn't giving up my publishing. So
good for you.
there was an issue with us that
10 toes down.
he didn't put it on his record. So to date, we're still trying to negotiate because when you're a work for hire in the music industry and you write a song, but it's my song, I wasn't the work for hire for oh my goodness, I'm having a mental block, for Harry Belafonte or David Pickett. They hired Arthur Baker to do the soundtrack of the movie. He was the work for hire. But if I wrote the song, why should I give up my publishing?
You should.
So I recently found out that the splits were not done correctly, and we're going a little back and forth. But I love Arthur. He's a great guy. It was an opportunity that I probably wouldn't have. That wouldn't open the doors. So I'm willing to negotiate, but I'm not willing to give it all up because this is my craft and this is my baby and this is what brought me through the door. But so I got into Beat Street, and that's how it all started, my record career. And I started hip hop dancing, and before I forget, because I know I talk so much.
Nah, you're good.
There was a guy named Nelson Fast Forward Cruz, who sang "Baby Don't Go," and "Baby Don't Go." He passed away, but he came up to me in a nightclub and he's like, "Hey, you Brenda Starr, right? I saw you on the news. Yo, I heard you sing. You sing really good." He goes, "I have a friend who just signed Shannon, who sings Let the Music Play. I told him about you. You interested in getting a record deal?" And I was like, "Really?" And I thought he was trying to pick me up. So he's like, "Let me get your number." And I was like, "Nah." I was like, "Give me your number." And he was like, "Oh, are you on my number? You don't trust me?" I said, "No, not that. I'm really getting my number out." He was like, "All right." And I was only 15 going on 16.
You're still 15?
I was going to be 16. This was when B Street happened. So I was 16. And took his number. I was almost gonna be 16 when I did the movie. Yeah. My birthday wasn't too far from it, so I gave him he gave me his number. Mm-hmm. I called him, and I went to my aunt, and I went to Atlantic Records. The guy worked for Mirage Atlantic. So Mirage was a label that was a independent label, but it was distributed by Atlantic. Yeah. So I didn't have a demo at the time. I still had the reel to reel. So my aunt goes, "If they ask you to sing or to play a cassette, just tell them, 'Oh, I don't have it, but I'll sing a cappella.'"
This is your mom's sister?
It wasn't my mom's sister. I used to babysit her daughter. So, we're Puerto Rican. So anybody that we babysit or babysit, that's Titi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I used to babysit her daughter. And her and her sister used to do music, play Vicky Sue Robinson in the house. And I was picking up different genres and different vocalists and loving Rick James, Vicky Sue Robinson, Donna Summer. So I started getting more involved into different sounds. So I turned around and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna sing Love on a Two-Way Street." He goes, yeah, sing it. So I just started singing. He's going, "Wow, you got a really good voice." And he was like, "How old are you?" I said, "I'm just gonna be 16. And he goes, "Wow, this is a perfect age." I said, "Yeah, I just finished a movie for Harry Belafonte."
Oh, she said, "I'm a flex real quick."
Yeah, I said, I just got offered a part to be in his movie. We're going to be filming, and we'll be filming it soon. And I said, "But yeah, I would love to be on your record label." And I said, "I promise you won't be sorry." And he was like, I love how you're just so confident." I said, I live for this. I said, "I want to buy my mom a house." Aww. And he was like, he goes, "How many brothers and sisters do you have?" I said, "I have 5 brothers, and it's me and my sister." And he goes, "Well, what do your parents think about this?" I said, "Well, my parents aren't together, but my dad sings 'I Love You More Today Than Yesterday.'" So I was just selling my always.
You were like, "I'm gonna get this deal."
Yeah. So I said, "Well, here's mine." He goes, "Well, let me think about it. Give me your phone number." And I said, "Thank you to Nelson for introducing us." And I gave him the phone booth number.
Oh, you
were like, called me on the phone booth. And my friend Brenda, once again, "Yo, you got a phone call?" Yo, because I would tell them, "Don't use the phone between these hours." And they'd be like, "Yo, there's a payphone. Are you out of your mind? Are you going to tell us we can't use the phone?"
This is my payphone.
Yeah. So the phone was busy, and he kept telling me that he was calling and it kept being busy. And I was like, "Yo, come on, waiting for a phone call. It's between." I said, "What time you think you're going to be calling me so I know to be there? Because I got a couple appointments with my mom." So he ended up calling me, and my friend called me. I came downstairs. And it was a phone call of a lifetime. It was, every time I tell the story, it was a phone call that he said, "Come to the label. Come today." And the day that I went, he asked me to come. I said, "Okay," but I didn't have money to get there. So I said, "Can I come tomorrow? Because I have to make sure that my mom could take me." And he goes, "Okay," but my mom really didn't take me. I got money for the train. I took the train and I got there and he gave me an envelope. He goes, "I want to work with you." He goes, "This is for you if you say yes. If you say no, rip it up."
Look at
and
God.
It was a contract and it was $15,000. And I thought it was $150,000 because I didn't know how to read the numbers. I wasn't great with school. Everything was dyslexic for me because I was really not.
You was talented. You was an actress. You was a singer.
Else.
You wasn't an accountant. Okay, it's okay.
So I end up getting the deal. And when I gave my mother the letter, I said, Mommy, open it. So when she opened it, all I remember was her screaming. She's like, oh my God. And I was like, what is it? She goes, this is the contract they want you to sign. This is it. And they gave you a check. I said, let me see, $150,000. She goes, no, it's not $150,000. It's $15,000.
Espérate.
Yeah, because I remember telling him I wanted to buy my mom a house. And I told her, well, can we get rid of all the furniture? We buy new furniture? She said, yes. She goes, is that what you want to do with the money? I said, I don't want it for me. I want it for you.
Wow.
So we furnished the whole house.
Bella.
And then I went to the studio and I started recording. And I did What You See Is What You Get. And I was in a production deal with Arthur Baker because when I was signed on to the movie, they gave me a production deal. And I was very young. So because I was so young, I was able to get out of it.
Of course, you're a minor, right?
Yeah, I was a minor. So Arthur Baker, so to not make him feel, because I was one that didn't like to burn bridges with anyone. I asked the guy, if I do this record deal, can Arthur produce some of the songs too?
That's nice of you.
And he goes, do you want him to? I said, yeah, I want him to.
That's cool. You put him on too.
Yeah. So Arthur Baker produced my first album with Lottie Golden, Tommy Farragher, Steve Lund, and Arthur Baker was one of the main producers. And Yamir Deodato, who worked with Kool and the Gang, did I Still Believe? And
how did you manage this?
You're
You're a teenager.
Yeah.
Grown-ass adults today cannot manage to do something like that.
Yeah, I think it was just the right time, the right place.
Stars aligned?
Stars aligned, yeah. And I thought I was badass because after I got the check and I was doing the records, I didn't want to go to school because I was like, I don't need school.
What was that, high school? You quit high school?
High school, yeah. I quit in 9th grade because I was starting to tour. The record started playing on the radio.
I Still Believe?
Yeah. Well, first it was What You See Is What You Get. First it was Picking Up the Pieces.
Okay.
Then it was What You See Is What You Get. And then
You were in 9th grade?
I was in 9th grade. And I started doing shows and I told my mother, like, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to go to school. I'm tired. I started cutting. And my mother was like, well, you need an education no matter what. I was like, no, Mom, but I'm already taking care of you. And I says, and now I'm doing shows. I'm like, she's like, no, I don't think you should do it. And then I quit. But then I went back. I went to a private school. I went to Quintanos.
Good for
and
you.
I got my high school diploma
And you
because
graduated from there?
I started having my work sent to me like fax. Back in the day, we didn't have the email stuff. We had faxing. And as long as I finished my work, I was able to
Did the record
graduate.
label say you have to do this, or that was something you decided?
No, I did it because after Mirage Records, I got offered a contract with MCA. And I didn't know how to read, like, the best way, the math, and I didn't want to get taken advantage of, and I wanted to get my math and my reading back in order. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go back to school. So the money I made from my shows, I started paying for me to go to a private school. So I went to Quintano School of the Young and Professionals.
Oh, good for you. You were grown.
Yeah, well, I had to
the point that you realize, like, I need to go back to school, and you just quit school, and you already know you got to go back. That means your mental maturity was up there.
Beyond my age.
Very
beyond
much
my
so.
age. So I started making money, and then my credit was great, and I was making a lot of money, and I bought my mom a house in Jacksonville, Florida, because that's where her godson lived, and she wanted to live there.
A word. Mom was like, peace, New York. I'm out to Florida.
And no. I bought her the house, and she wanted to come back to the projects. So she never
Such
gave it
a
up.
Typical
she
Latina mom from the project. Like, this is what I know.
She had a Section 8. She was like, I love it here, but I appreciate you buying me the house, but I miss New York. But it was under my name.
Okay.
So I ended up keeping the house, and I didn't really like Jacksonville, so I ended up selling it. And after selling it, I just furnished her whole apartment in New York, pulled up the floors.
Wherever you want to be, mommy.
Tiles and made the bathroom, fixed the cabinets.
You walk into her apartment and you forget you're in the P's, right?
Yeah. You didn't know you was living in the PJs. Although there's a lot of people in the projects that hook their apartments up that I'm like, damn. No. I'm like, yo, what's up with that?
You forget you're in the projects when you go into those apartments. You're like, where am I?
Yeah, people scenarialize like roaches and mice. It depends on how you take care of your house. My mother was very Latina. Everything was clean.
Mitolín.
Yeah, everything. We had cleaning days that we all had chores. One had garbage, one had dishes, one had the bathtubs. It
was like the army was happening at the house.
My mother was on top of shit. But yeah, I bought her a house, and I was able to do it for her because her growing up on her own so young and having kids so young, she never really got to enjoy her life. And
she gave it up for you.
Yeah.
And, you were 7. How can you have a life? You can't go to dinner. You can't go out with your homegirls. You can't go to Vegas. You can't go to Nashville. You can't go gozar con siete muchachos. Absolutely not. You have to work.
Definitivamente nunca, nunca, nunca. But I could remember our night out was Jack in the Box.
Oh,
Jack
yeah, I
in the
remember that.
Box, White Castle. We
Thank
buy
you.
White Castle.
My husband always says that White Castle was a treat for them.
Yeah, it was
And
White
I'm like,
Castle
White
was
Castle?
our treat. What?
And he's like, yeah.
I used to be like, I want the one with cheese. I don't want pickles on mine. My mother used to be like, okay, whatever you want. I remember she used to get 20 of them. And we used to be like, damn, we going to dinner tonight. We going to White Castle.
That is.
She's like, yeah, you going to the White House, mama. Get ready. La Casa Blanca.
Now, which song was it that took you, that you're like, bro, I'm a fucking star? What song was that?
I Still Believe.
You hit number 13 on Billboard with that song?
Yeah. I think that was when I had the epiphany, like, wow.
Was it a moment? Did you go somewhere? Did you hear it on the radio? Like, when did it dawn on you? Like, bro, I fucking made it.
When I was in the Beacon Theater in New York and I performed, and the way the people sang the song, and
I get goosebumps because that song is just.
Yeah, and it was definitely resonating for me because it was learning about relationships, and it was my first boyfriend, and I met him when I was 14.
Oh, so you wrote about somebody?
I didn't write it. I actually just worked on the bridge.
Okay.
And I did that with Yamir Deodato. It was written by Antonina Armada, but and Yamir Deodato was the producer, but Antonina did a really big part of the song. I just came through with the bridge and made it my own, and I realized that when I performed it that day, how much of a hit it was, because I was getting stopped in the street like, oh my God, you Brenda K. Starr, yo, that's my favorite, that's my breakup song. And we didn't have like lives, so people would literally stop me in the street, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm really like a star, like this shit is insane. Like, I was going to Florida, I was being stopped at airports, I was going to London, I was going to Los Angeles, but I think when I really had the moment, the wow moment, was when I was on tour with New Kids on the Block.
Okay. How did you end up touring with them? They invited you or you invited them?
No, they invited me. They were managed by Dick Scott. And my manager at the time was a guy named Buddy Allen and Steve Allen and Connie Allen. They were a husband, son, and father team. A wife and husband team with their son. Mm-hmm. And they were managing me. And Dick Scott had reached out to somebody, I think by the name of Rory, and said, you know, I really love this girl's voice. Like, who's managing her? And I was pretty much on the outskirts with them, because after a while, they just were booking shows, but a lot of the shows that they were booking were good, but it didn't work for me. There was a couple of things that I was uncomfortable with. So I ended up parting ways with them. And I didn't have a manager. My mom was managing me. And my mom was like, yeah. My mom was like, I can't do this. Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, but I'm going to try. So I found out when I went to MCA, Gerald Busby introduced me to Mr. Dick Scott. And Gerald Busby was like, you know, we need a powerful manager for her. And I heard of him, and I was like, I want to work with that man. Like, he has New Kids on the Block. Like, they're doing arenas. They're doing this.
Yeah, they were
I was
huge,
like, I want to do this. And then he had told Gerald, listen, I'd love to bring Brenda K on as an opening act for New Kids. So I got on the tour. And then is when I asked him, I said, would you manage me?
Again, being bold.
Yeah. And he was like, well, aren't you managed by the Allens? I was like, no. I says, I parted ways with them, but I'm looking for somebody that could really make me famous, like more famous, and put me in the big arenas. Like, I want to do this forever. And he was like, yeah, I'll help you. So we signed a contract, and I started working with him. I put out an album on MCA. Kate Hyman was my A&R lady. And after that, I ended up going to a huge tour, and there is when I really realized that I was famous, because when you didn't have phones, but you had people with lighters in the audience, flicking their lights when I was singing I Still Believe, and I would just take the mic and put it out there, and it would seem like the whole floor was shaking when they were going, no, 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 I need you, baby, I still believe that we, and they would sing with me, and I would go, come on, sing, I still still believe. And I would put the mic out, and just everybody would sing that song. And there was when I knew that wow,
You were like, Mama, I made it.
I did. And I put my sister through college. And I put my brother through college that used to take care of me. My sister went to Syracuse University for physical therapy.
Beautiful.
My brother went to, we went to Fordham for a while. And then he went to, I forgot the other name of the college he went to, but he graduated.
God bless.
And then after he graduated, he was going to be a psychologist. And he did his hustling on the side to help us,
Well, you know.
and did his thing, but he ended up getting killed. He back in the day, when you get beat up by cops, my brother was working. He was painting, doing odd and end jobs in between after he finished college, waiting to get a job as a psychologist. He was painting someone's house, and they raided the house, and he was sleeping, and he thought that they were raiding it and didn't know they were undercovers. And they were kicking him and beating him up, and there were cops, and they arrested him. And he ended up going to jail because the house had marijuana. And when he ended up going to jail, they realized he was the painter, and they let him out. But he had an asthma attack in the hospital, in prison. So when he came out, he was fine. He got his pump. He started feeling pain, and he went to the hospital. He had a hematoma, and it was from being beat. Just beat so bad that when they did the surgery, he had a heart attack after it, and he ended up dying. And yeah,
I'm so sorry.
that's where I get so many, and we never sued, and we didn't sue because even when we went upstate to get the records, no one had answers for us.
Red
and my
tape.
mother was like, I want to know who beat my son up. They oh no, they couldn't find the records. It's too late now, but at least people that get justice now from being beat up. And listen, I believe in cops because, my brothers were in military. My brother's in military police. He worked on the border, south of the border. He was in the Marines. It's sad when you have good cop, bad cops, and they put such a bad name on certain cops. But it was like, I think it wasn't my brother's time, but I think unfortunately we weren't able to sue for the sake of his kids, and his kids didn't get anything out of it, but they're all successful now. His daughter's, working in the medical field. His other daughter works in the medical field. His son is now a corrections officer who now works in San Diego as a court policeman. And, it's like, so you see that we still have law enforcement and people in our family that give back and that serve, but at this time we weren't protected and served. So we lost somebody so amazing. So it's hard for me. And like I said, I don't hate policemen, but I was sad that this is one person that didn't deserve it, that did anything for his community. Like, he just had the brightest smile, and he was the dad I didn't have. So my mother was very sad. I think when he passed away, my mother really lost, a part. We all lose a part of ourselves. If we lose our children, you don't want your kids to die before you.
It breaks you.
But yeah, so he was like such an inspiration, but he was one of the main reasons why I love music, because he'd make me perform for him all the time. But yeah.
So I Still Believe was the song that pushed you into stardom.
Yeah.
Then you went on tour with New Kids on the Block, and did you break off and then go on tour on your own? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I ended up working with John and Jerry Aid and famous artists, and I was just traveling all over the world.
Alone?
And I was all over the world. I went to Germany. I went to
As a headliner, just you,
yeah,
Dolo?
headliner. Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah. Germany, London, England. I was in. I went to Puerto Rico. I was in the Roberto Clemente Stadium performing English music, and they actually, MCA asked me to sing I Still Believe in Spanish, and I was like, well, I'm not so good at Spanish, but my mother was like, I'll help you. So I learned I Still Believe, and they had a translator in the studio, and I learned it, and it did well. In Puerto Rico, I started singing I Still Believe in Spanish, a verse in English, a verse in Spanish. I was touring, the whole freestyle pop genre was really kicking off. And then,
During this tour is when Mariah Carey is your background singer?
Yes. Yes, this is when Mariah, I had an audition, and I started auditioning band members, background singers.
So you picked Mariah as your background singer?
I did.
Oh
I
my God.
did.
Like, what are the odds?
You know, it was crazy because I had so many girls that were coming in for the audition because you have to obviously apply before coming, and there's only a certain amount of people you can see within the day. So we had like 8 girls come that day, 6 to 8 girls come that day, and the audition started around 4:35. Mariah was there almost 3 o'clock, a little early, and I'm like, you're really early. And she's like, yeah, you know, I figured I'd come early because I guess she walked. You know, she didn't have a car. She moved from Staten Island and from Long Island, excuse me. And she came for the audition, and I was like, well, come through. You know, the piano player was already there.
Do you remember what she sang?
She sang "I Still Believe."
Oh, okay.
She sang some of the backgrounds. Like I told her what I wanted to sing, and I sang the part to her, and she sang some of it. And I was like, wow, you sound great. So she hung out, and then the other girls auditioned, and I ended up hiring her. And then in the interim of the tour, we started becoming friends. And that's how it all evolved.
She was your only background singer? Like,
no, I had her.
Okay.
I had another girl named Josie. And then I had another girl named Clarissa. So I had 3 girls.
So it became like the homies. Y'all was on tour together?
Yeah. Well, Clarissa and Josie were cool, but they weren't my homies. I was more like chill with Mariah. Mariah and I like hit it off because we were so much alike. We were very committed to our craft. We loved music. And I noticed how dedicated she was. And how I noticed that was because in the interim of touring, like I would tell her how I wanted something sung, and boom, she would get it right off the bat. I was like she's super dedicated. But I caught her one time sitting in the bleachers when we were all taking a break before our sound check, and she had on her Walkman. And when she had on her Walkman, she was listening to music, and I was like, "What are you listening to?" She was like, "Oh, I'm just listening. My stomach is growling." She says, "I'm listening to music." I says, "Who do you listen to? Like, who's your favorite artist?" She goes, "No, it's some stuff I wrote." I was like, "Can I hear?" She was like, "Yeah." So I was like, wow. And I'm listening, and I'm like, is this you? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, you sound so good. Like, why are you singing background for me? Like, why don't you have a record deal? She's like, oh, because everywhere I go, I haven't been able to get a chance, or because I'm white, I sound too black, and people don't really, they say I'm trying to sound too much like this one. And I've been to a couple of, spots with my producer, and we've yet to be signed, but I'm still trying. And I'm like, you sound really good. I was like, who wrote these songs? She goes, I did. I was like, you write too? So I think that was the connection, that both of us really had a passion. I noticed how she loved what she did. She wrote songs. Instead of hanging out, she was just like me. We would go straight to the studio and stay up, and we were super focused. And I loved that about her. And we just became friends, and we were very like pranking people, and I love that about her. Like, she was like me, a goofster. Like, now she's kind of different than when I first met her. Like, she had a more of a goofy side. I mean, I haven't hung out with her for years, so I can't say if she still doesn't have that, but she was always very funny, super sweet. I met her brother Morgan. Her mom was a vocal coach, super nice. And so I told her, months into being friends and touring, we started hanging out. I was like, yo, there's a party that's going to happen tonight, and it's a WTG party, and there's going to be that guy. His name is Jerry Greenberg. He's the first guy that gave me my first record deal. Maybe I could bring you to the party. I have an extra ticket.
So you were like,
and I'll hook you up. Yeah, you want to come with me? She was like, I don't have anything to wear. And I was like, come with me. I said, you can borrow something of mine. Don't worry. But the only thing she couldn't borrow was the shoes because her feet were huge. I was like, the only thing you can't borrow is my shoes because them toes ain't getting past the heel. She was laughing at me. She's like, no, I'll just figure something out. So I was like, so meet me at my apartment, and you could get dressed at my apartment. So I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm gonna get
This was in New York?
Yeah, this was in New York.
Okay.
No, where I told her was when we were on tour. We were at a show upstate New York. So I told my mother, Mommy, you mind if I give Mariah the ticket to the party? And she's like, no, you girls go. You go have a good time. So I took Mariah with me to the party. So Mariah met me at my apartment in Jersey. So she literally hung out with me. So we went to my apartment in Jersey. We got dressed and ready there. She put my little I Still Believe leather jacket. I had the mini skirt, and she looked so cute. She's like, I don't know if I want to wear the skirt. I think I'm just gonna do the leggings with the leather jacket. And then she comes out the room, and she has her makeup's done. She looks so beautiful. Always
curls. Remember that hair was just gorgeous.
Yeah, the big hair. We always had this. We teased it. She looked beautiful. I loved when she used to do the curly hair.
Me too.
But she came out, but she had a pair of sneakers on, and I'm like,
¿Qué pasó?
Where you going with that? And they were dirty sneakers. And me dio pena because I wish that she fit my shoes, but
What
she
size are
didn't.
you?
I'm a 7.5.
Oh, that's tiny. I'm a 9.
Yeah, I'm a 7.5.
You would have judged my feet too, girl, because my shoes is big.
So she was like, yeah, but I don't have nothing to wear. And I was like, just wear those. So they were a pair of white Skippies. Back in the day, Skippies was the shit. We used to use Griffin to keep them white. So
It was Keds or
yeah,
Skippies,
yeah.
right?
I used to do the Skippies. I used to get them at the dollar store. I remember back in the day, I didn't care, pay less. So
You were like, vámonos con
but
los Skippies.
fortunately, by the grace of God, I didn't. Just because I had money didn't mean I have to shop at the big bougie spots. Listen to my stomach growling. Do you hear that? And I'm not even hungry. But I end up telling Mariah, I was like,
Vámonos.
just wear those. Let's go. So we went to the party. And when we got there, Jerry Greenberg was there. And there is when I introduced Mariah to Jerry Greenberg, Arthur Baker. And I had already sent a couple of friends the cassette of Mariah because I wanted to help her.
Oh, her demo.
Yeah.
You had already sent it
I
out?
sent it to Medina, Betty Medina.
Oh.
I sent it to
That's
him.
her manager now, right?
No, that's not her manager.
Who's her man? But he
I
was
don't
at one
know.
point?
He's Jennifer's manager.
Oh,
He's
J-Lo. Yeah,
Jennifer's
yeah,
manager.
there you go. I knew it was somebody.
She's with
Beautiful.
someone else now. I don't know who it is.
Now I was thinking of J-Lo.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
J-Lo's with Benny. And so then I end up turning around and I said, we're going to go to this party. So we get in the party. I see Tommy checking her out. And he's
Tommy
like,
Mottola.
yeah.
Okay.
He was like, yo, who's the babe with the bod? She went to the bathroom. I was like, oh, that's my friend. I was like, and I opened my purse. And I'm like, yo, this is her cassette.
You lying.
You got to hear this girl sing.
You had
This
her
girl's-
demo?
Yeah. Because I told her, make sure you bring your
Nah,
cassette.
you was a real one.
Bring your cassette. And I had played her cassette for George Lamond prior. And George Lamond was like, yo, this girl got fire vocals. And nobody was doing that whistle tone. And,
Yeah,
it was
Mariah
something.
was one of one.
Yeah,
when-
she
when
reminded me
that-
of a young Minnie Rippleton.
Yeah.
Because Minnie was pretty much the only one that did that back in the day from Loving You. So I wasn't intimidated in helping her because from where I come back from, it's important to open doors for all and be there for each other because you should never be jealous. You should always give opportunity where opportunities do. And I love her to pieces. I'm so proud that I was able to make a mark in history and bring her to this party and make the connection. Although my management hated me for it, and that's when our management severed because my manager was like, why? This was when I was with Buddy. He's like, why would you give Tommy Mottola Mariah's tape knowing you're on Epic? Do you know what this is going to do to your career? You're going to lose everything. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Well, why would you lose everything?
Because I guess the resemblance, I guess because the voice, I guess because the age.
It
how
felt
we
like
were
there would only be room for
was-
one of you?
Right,
Okay.
right. But I didn't think of it that way. And I still don't think of
You're
it
so
that
fucking
way.
dope, and I love you
because
so much for that.
I don't think.
Because somebody might have been like, don't even come with me.
No. I don't have an ugly heart. I don't have an ugly heart because I feel like in my space, how my mother did for others, and that's why God blessed us and we were able to survive and have what we have and grow with integrity and have such diligence at what we do and be able to be such caring people and have an open heart. I believe that what could feed one could feed two. What could feed two could feed seven.
Donde
So-
comen dos, comen tres.
Right.
I've heard that
Right.
before.
So for me, I knew she needed it and I wanted to help her. And I didn't think about what the repercussions would be because to date, I still feel like I'm happy that I did it. I'm so proud to be part of it. I love her to pieces. And although people get other scenarios, I'm proud of the woman she is. I'm proud of the
How can you
accolades
not
in the
be? Like,
business.
honestly,
I made history.
we may not know Mariah if it weren't for you doing that.
Yeah.
And, we thank you because she's an icon. She's a
is
star.
definitely
We
an
love
icon.
her.
She is. And she's very talented.
Oh, that
and
she
she's
is.
an incredible songwriter. She's an incredible artist. And, I know with time our voices change because with age we change and our body changes in terms of the endurance of working out, etc. But I feel like she still has a beautiful space in the industry. Her voice is incredible.
She does.
And although we're not in contact like we were, because of the way life changes, people go in different paths. We meet people in junior high school. That don't mean we got to stay friends forever. We all go different areas. But to make the mark in the history of the music industry and the impact that I made, I believe that I brought the biggest talent to the music industry.
You did.
And I have a lot to say about it. And I believe that that's where God put me and that's what God wanted me to do. And I did it because of the kindness of my heart. And it didn't bother me that my management was upset, because after doing it, I did end up losing my deal.
So she ended up getting signed.
She got signed
After
to Sony.
this?
Yeah,
Okay.
she got signed to Columbia. And I was on Epic. And I end up, my deal was, I did an album. It was an album called By Heart that Diane Warren was a writer. Rick Wake was a writer. I had a lot of great talent.
You had a nice team.
I had a great team. But unfortunately, it came to an end. I was told by Tommy that I needed to get dropped because at that point they were going in a different direction, and he saw me singing dance freestyle music. He says, that's what I see you doing. And I'm like, I like freestyle, but I'm not a freestyle artist. I'm a pop artist. I'm a pop artist. That's why I want to do pop music. I want to do music like Celine Dion. I want to do music like, Gloria Gaynor. I want pop music. Like I want Diana Ross. And he was like, yeah, but, unfortunately, we can only have a certain amount of talent that is going in that direction. And I think you would be better off doing dance music. And then I got released and my album got shelved. But it still didn't stop me.
It didn't deter you in no way.
It didn't stop me. I still was so happy for her, and she was killing it. I was listening to the demos of the album, and I was like, oh my God, this is a hit. This is amazing.
Did you stay cool like after she got signed?
We did.
Okay.
We did. We stayed cool.
So you got to see like how everything unfolded for her?
I did.
Okay,
I even went as far as going to her wedding. I was at her wedding.
Okay, so that's good. So you got to see her fairy tale come true.
I did see it unfold, and I was very happy for her. Not envious, very proud of her, because I was still doing music. I wasn't doing it as heavily as I wanted to because I did lose my deal, and there were a lot of areas that were in my life that financially I struggled. I had to get odd and end jobs. I had 2 babies. I didn't have rent money.
This is right after this?
Yeah. I was sleeping on the floor with my 2 babies, but I was still hustling. But I had the pride to not go back and say, hey, what you gonna do for me? Like, I did ask one point, like, now what do I do? But she was in a relationship that was so toxic for her that her mental state wasn't really involved and invested in me. So she needed to do her. So I didn't even bother to say, hey, I did this to get this in return.
Because most people would.
I did this, but I didn't.
Most people are like, you owe me.
Yeah. And a lot of people told me that. But you know what? I didn't do
pride.
it to be compensated.
You did it out of the goodness of your heart.
Because that's the woman I am.
You weren't even thinking this was going to happen, obviously, right?
Oh, I knew she was going to be successful. I wasn't thinking that we weren't going to talk and the friendship would eventually dissolve in the matter of not because of her, but because of other people in her head. Like, you got to do it this way. Don't do this. Don't do that. I didn't care. I had two beautiful babies. I had just gave birth to another child.
Your mind was elsewhere.
And I was elsewhere. And I said, this is where God wants me right now. I'm going to be having kids. I'm going to enjoy being a mother. And if I don't get a record deal, what am I going to do? If he dropped me, what am I going to do? I can't go beg. And I basically did beg him. I said, please don't drop me. I just had a baby. I don't have no money. There's no royalties. I had a business manager who took all my money because he was in control of my money. So I lost all my money. And when I went to get money to find out, he was like, oh no, this was paid, that was paid. When I went to get an attorney, the attorney said he filed bankruptcy. So
you couldn't even sue.
I couldn't even sue him. So I had no money. So what do? You go get help from the government. And when you go there and somebody recognizes that's Brenda K. Starr.
You're in New York?
Yeah. No, I was in Jersey.
You're in Jersey, okay.
I was in Jersey. I had an apartment in Jersey. I had everything. I had a condo. I had to get rid of the condo. Then I started living in an apartment because I was living off of whatever money I had. Then I didn't even have rent money. I had to go get help. When getting help is where I got recognized in the social service office.
Who recognized you? Like a worker, a fan?
Mm-hmm, a fan. And the social service worker knew who I was because I was honest. I said I used to do music. And he's like, you look familiar. And I was like, please don't tell anybody. And he's like, it's okay. Everybody gets help. You know how many artists and musicians come through this door when they lose everything? Because music doesn't always last forever. And I said, please. But when I went out, there was a girl there with someone else and a bunch of people. When I walked by, she's like, that's Brenda K. Starr.
Pendeja.
And I just put my head down. And I remember in the parking lot, calling my mother from a payphone saying somebody recognized me. I was like, Mommy, I can't believe this. She's like, I told you, just go write music. You're going to get a record deal. I'm going to pray. We're going to go to church. We're going to light a candle. My mother was very religious.
Amen.
And
She said, God got you.
Yeah. She said, God got you. She says, you'll be all right. And then I end up staying on welfare for about a year. And then I ran into somebody who met me. I was writing songs for a company called Dance Floor Distribution. And I said, listen, I don't want to do this. I need health insurance. I just want a regular check. I don't like doing this. And he was like, okay, I'll give you $750 a week. You write songs. Those are your songs. And I'll give you health insurance. I'll pay your health insurance. So I had Edna for me and my girls. And I had written songs, not knowing that the songs that I wrote, he was keeping them without me knowing. I thought that I owned the publishing. So I'm still fighting for some of that now, because now there's all compilation albums of me doing demos that aren't even real records.
Oh, wow. That's
So they weren't even finished.
sketchy as
So he
fuck.
put them out, very sketchy. But he did do one thing that helped me.
What?
He invited me to Midam, which was a music seminar out in Cannes. And
France?
Cannes, yeah. Girl, I never been to France. I was like, oh, parlez-vous français? Oui, oui.
Looking for croissants as soon as
Merci
you got
beaucoup.
there,
Can I
right?
have a croissant, please? Hello, darling. But I ended up going there with him, and we got at the hotel, and it was a little shady at the beginning, but we got it. We got in the show hotel, and then the next day I started shopping material, songs I wrote for different artists. It wasn't for me. And some guy came up to me. He's like, yo, Brenda K, Starr. And I'm like, oh, God, here we go. So it's like, you can't get away from it. But, no matter what, it was just an opportunity to get my song shopped. And I knew I make money. And you make a lot of money with your publishing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my publishing out there. I'm going to get a publishing deal again. Because I wasn't ready with the publishing deal with Sony. Sony had signed me on my publishing. So I ended up meeting someone. And the guy that met me said, why don't you sing for my uncle? I said, sing for your uncle? He goes, yeah. He goes, you sing Spanish, right? I was like, no, I don't know Spanish. He goes, but do I still believe in Spanish? I said, yeah. So I end up singing for him in Spanish, and that guy ended up living 14 to 15 minutes away from my house, 12 to 15 minutes from my house.
In Jersey?
Yep.
Okay.
He lived in Middletown, and I lived in Port Monmouth. He ended up giving me a record deal in Spanish. And I was like, Mommy, I can't do this. And the guy was like, tú tienes que enseñar a ella a hablar en español. Y no es un problema si no puedo hablar en español. And I was like, Mommy, but I don't know Spanish. She's like, look at Selena. Selena did it. And I'm like, Mommy, but my mother was like, give me the contract.
Okay.
We're going to sign the contract. I'm going to study with her. I'm going to help her. I wrote every song in phonetic spelling. And that's how I started singing in Spanish. And I learned Spanish from the age of 28. Is when I started speaking Spanish fluently.
And I love this because sometimes people feel like you can't learn Spanish.
It's too late.
It's too
Never
late.
too late.
It's never too late. Herida. Esa canción, olvídate.
Ay, Dios mío. Bueno, la primera vez escuchando esa canción was from Miriam Hernandez.
Yeah.
En una forma de una balada.
Miriam
But I
Hernandez.
felt the pasión in her voice, and I was like, Mommy, what is she saying? But I knew yo no sé qué hacer. Me enamoré de ti un día was, I don't know what I did, but I fell in love with you one day, the first day I met you. And I knew right then and there that the lyrics were going to be powerful. And just the way, when I heard the coro, I was like, oh my God. So I kept hearing it over
Es que la
and over
música se
again.
siente. You feel it.
My hairs were standing up listening to it. So I said, Mommy, I want to do this song. But they had sent me a bunch of songs. And I picked that one. I picked Sola. I
Sola is a
picked
beautiful
Gata Bajo la Lluvia de Rocía Dulca. And my mother was helping me. My mom was like, this is a great song. I was like, oh, I love this one.
These are iconic songs.
Yeah, so I started writing it in phonetic spelling. My mom translated it for me. And hasta el día cuando yo entro en el estudio to grabar con Humberto Ramírez, my Spanish was horrible. But I would stay up every night pronouncing amor. Yo no sé qué hacer. Me enamoré de ti en un día. And I was just writing and writing and writing. And my mother would put an accent on where you would have it. We would do the R's. We'd put like a little squiggly line. Would be like rrr. So that's how I learned.
She's like, roll your R's all the way.
Roll your R's all the way, Mama. Because if you don't, tú no te puedes defender. When they make fun of you, y tú estás tratando de hablar en español, cantar en español es diferente de hablar. Because you could be a New York Rican, but if you're going to sing a song, tú tienes que hacerlo perfecto.
Y más que tú estabas cantando salsa también.
Salsa y pronunciando los R's en todas las canciones. Y es un género de la música dominada de todos los hombres.
Claro que sí.
There was only Celia Cruz, La India.
La India.
So for me, I was like, oh my
You
God.
were entering an arena that was just like, yo. Y la India estaba aquí.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that album that we knew from head to toe?
Mi mayor venganza.
Ese álbum no faltaba en una casa latina. That album was just like...
insane.
Exactamente. So you're just like, yo, I gotta bring it. And I'm so happy that, you know, you did Spanish music. It's a different type of connection. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it resonated for me. I loved it. And I still love it. And I think that I can do it? Absolutely not. I mean, I would go in the studio and I would take a break and call my mother from the phone booth in the recording studio in Puerto Rico. And
Oh, tú estabas en Puerto Rico.
I was in Puerto Rico recording. I did it. It took me a month and a half to record the whole album. The whole album. I did 9 songs. But it did because when I first went, it was to work on the production. And then I would
They
listen
believed
to the
in your
production.
ass. They
Oh my
really
God,
believed in
they-
you, bro. Because
That was God. That was God.
It really is, 'cause it's like,
how
come
do
to
you go
Puerto
the other
Rico.
side of the world and you get this opportunity?
I know you had to fly all the way to France to
Yes.
get signed to do a Spanish album that you're going to record in Puerto Rico.
And guess what was the name of my label? Plátano Records.
Claro que sí, claro que
Plátano.
sí.
Oh, ¿qué es lo que hay, coño?
Mangú o totones,
Yeah.
tú dime lo
Yeah,
que tú
mangú o
quieras.
totones.
Oh my God, that's so freaking dope, man.
Yeah, I got signed by Marta and Pepe and Jose Amada. Jose Amada was from Florida. And it was like a little small little label where they made their own. You don't even know how many records you sold. But I know I got one good check one time because a lot of the stuff was out the door, in the back door. But I did know La Mega was playing my music. I remember
Claro
the
que sí.
first night I heard my song Herida, I was in my house.
¿Dónde tú estabas? Con la mega. You were waiting for it or it just randomly
I was
popped
hanging
up?
out with my kid's father. Chris and I were in the living room, and I was struggling. I didn't have anything, and they would help with my record label. And he was a union worker. You know, I met him when he came out of college. So long story short, we were in the living room one night, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from the guy from the label. Put on La Mega. Put on La Mega. And I'm like, why?
97.9.
And he's like, they're gonna play your song. And I'm like, really? So I guess it was like it or flush it or something. Flush it or rush it.
Oh,
in
like they were
Spanish.
asking the public?
Right.
Okay.
And they got a response like, oh my God, qué palo. Esta canción va a ser número 1. And I could remember just crying on the floor.
How does that song start? Start it for me. Like, what did you hear on the radio?
It was, yo no sé qué hacer. Me enamoré de ti un día y no sé por qué. Hiciste renacer mi vida. Aun sabiendo que lo nuestro no podría ser. Y así yo vivo mi vida herida.
Come on.
Así yo vivo soñando que tú estarás a mi lado, por siempre a mi lado. No te vayas sin saber cuánto yo te amo.
Brenda. Oh my God, that
My
fucking
voice is so sore. I'm sorry.
Nah, and you've been everywhere lately.
Yeah, I've been recording, so my voice is a little.
You've been
Actually,
in the
I'm going
studio. I
Wednesdays
see
to the
you
doctors.
performing. You've been all over New York City, the 5 boroughs performing, man.
Yes. Hopefully, I'll get my voice back soon. I actually am going to an ENT because I think through the interviews, the abuse of working in the studio,
Right, we gotta let
and
you
then when
rest.
you go out and you do,
And
it's like people talk to you when
y
you're in
ta
the
la
club
música.
over.
No,
It's
no,
the
no, no.
worst. So I've tried steroids, but now I think I have a small, mild sense of like polyps. But I've been seeing a vocal doctor, so it's getting better, but it's not there. I still have a little bit of time to work on it. But what I do is when I know I have a show, I go on vocal rest. So I sleep a lot of hot tea. I do a lot of sauna. But yeah, when I heard Herida, I knew that this was definitely gonna be a
Chill.
great song.
Your man must have been like, that's my mommy en ese radio. Because, you know, hearing yourself on the radio is just something completely different. You did radio too.
Yes.
And currently, what are you working on? Are we gonna hear you again? Radio, podcasting? What's the deal with you? What do you want to do?
So, I mean, I know that radio is something that I had a passion for, but I know it's very hard to get into it or even work at it because no one's going to give up their seat in radio. So for me, I have a vision of doing a podcast. And
Okay.
and I have a lot of people that I'm speaking to right now. And
I love this for you.
yeah, I love it. I love the idea. So I've got a couple of lined up interviews from Taylor Dane, Peter Gunn's just okayed an interview with
Talk
me.
about it.
Karen Gavano. I also have Lisa Vidal
Oh, no, you're
from
gonna
The
have some
Beauty and the
dope-ass
Bakery.
shit.
Yes, Lisa's another interview I have. I just reached out to a friend that's a good friend of Fat Joe. I love Fat Joe, but I don't really know the direct contact. But whenever he sees me, he always shows me love.
That's probably
I
rich.
have Charlie Mack, who actually manages Will Smith.
This is gonna be big.
And
This is gonna be
Charlie Mack
amazing.
has a book coming out. So Charlie Mack and Will Smith. So those are the 8 first interviews that I have working on lining them up.
Take your time, line them up, and your
Yes.
public loves you, and I'm pretty sure they're looking forward to these conversations. Where can we find you? Like, if someone's listening to this podcast right now and they want to find you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, where can they find Brenda K. Starr?
Well, definitely on Brenda K Starr, the official BrendaKStarr.com, which is my Instagram handle, and Brenda K Starr on Facebook. And I feel like it's just something that I want to do is like woman empowerment. If you feel like this isn't only a man's world, it's an opportunity for women to do it. And I see a lot of women making it happen. And I think that just manifesting it and putting it into the universe, it can be a reality.
Just
So,
saying that you want to do it. You've
I'm
already
gonna do it.
you've already started it.
I've
you know what I'm
already
saying?
started
You've
it.
already started it, man.
I've already started. But it's not only going to be with people in the industry. It's going to be about beauty. It's going to be about mind, body, and soul, taking care of your health.
Whatever you want to talk
Cooking,
about, we want to hear
talking
about
about cooking, how I love to cook. I like to make pasteles, arroz con andule, making cracker chicken, a lot of my mother's recipes, interviewing my mom, how it was growing up and being my mom and what my mother did for the struggles, and even interviewing my kids.
We're going to make this
You know,
happen. We're going to make this happen.
I think it's going to be a great idea.
No, it is. It's a great idea. And, I want to say thank you so much for taking time out, coming down into Manhattan and sitting down and talking to me and letting my audience, get to know you.
Thank you. And sorry I talk so much. I didn't even let you ask me questions. Is that horrible? My
No,
bad.
it's okay. It's okay. Listen, I have.
You could just cut. You could edit it and be like, well, I want to know when was the first time you did, and then I could talk.
No. We're going to leave it just like it is. I have so many episodes, and, if they want to hear me talk more, listen to another episode that's not this one. This one is all about Brenda K. Starr.
Ah, thank you.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you, my love.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing. You're an
Thank
inspiration, and, we look up to you.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited. I think, lastly, that when, not if, because I will manifest it and it will happen. When the podcast show does happen, I'm anticipating keeping the name Under the Stars with Brenda K. Starr because.
And you heard it here first.
I think, you heard it here first. I think that's a proper name for me because, you know what? I've been on top of the stars. I've been under the stars, and I still have been able to manifest things and make it happen. So, just make it. It's gonna happen for sure.
Gracias.
I
Come
love you.
again.
De nada. Gracias por la oportunidad.